Good afternoon and welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us today for the Ag Exception and Hours of Service Compliance webinar. Today, we will be talking about agriculture, the hours of service regulations on ag hauling, and the most recent changes to the hours of service ag exception, as mentioned in the bipartisan infrastructure bill that was passed at the end of 2021. My name is Brian. I'm the fleet onboarding specialist and trainer for My20, based out of our U.S. headquarters office in Knoxville, Tennessee. I will be your host for this afternoon's webinar. Joining us today as our presenter is Tom Clark, Vice President, Product Solutions. Tom works out of our Atlanta office. Thank you, Tom, for joining us today.
You bet, my pleasure.
For those of you who are not familiar with our company, we are a US-based fleet management and telematics company with a combined 100+ years of experience in the trucking industry. The Fmcsa brand of products offers My20 ELD and fleet management, My20 Logicam, Go Fuel, our fuel discount program, Go MedRx telemedicine, My20 locking system, and Go Load dynamic load matching. Each product and solution was built with the driver in mind, and our team is constantly looking for ways to improve drivers' lives on and off the road. We would love for this session to be informal and interactive. Also, to respect everyone's time, we'll be following this agenda starting with a brief introduction and overview of Fmcsa's ELD compliance, specifically looking at what the ELD mandate says about hauling ag. We will end today's session with a 10 to 15-minute Q&A session. If you have any questions as we go through today's session, please type them into the Q&A box located at the bottom of the panel on your Zoom screen. We are recording today's webinar, so if you'd like to revisit the information, features, and benefits we go over today, you will have the opportunity to do so with the recording from today's session. You can also reach out to our sales and support team to schedule a more personalized informational session to meet your business needs. Again, thank you for joining us today. Tom, let's get started.
All right. Well, I greatly appreciate the opportunity to share with you today. I'd like to start off with expressing my appreciation if you're involved in agriculture, either as a farmer, rancher, or a hauler. We appreciate your service. Our country could not function without your contribution, and I know it is a long, hard road that you're on, and we really appreciate all the efforts that you contribute to getting food to our tables. First, I want to look at the Fmcsa ELD mandate timeline. As you can see, we've been on a journey. ELD rule was established in 2015, and there's been several changes. The Ag Exemption was in place at the beginning, but there have been, most recently in November, there's been a few changes. But we're going to talk about kind of the specifics of that today. In terms of agriculture operations, several different laws and regulations are in place that establish the Ag Exemption. It's for agricultural commodities, both commodities and farm supplies. It established a 150 air mile radius from the source or the origin of the commodity. And that 150 air miles translates into 172 statute miles as far as the radius. The next one is 30-minute break exemption for both bees and livestock. That is, even if you're outside the radius of the circle, because of the livestock and just the temperamental nature of dealing with live things and the environment, the 30-minute break is not required. Let's look at a few exception scenarios. The first one is ag returning empty from delivery. So in this case, you've got the circle. We've got our commodity, which is cattle. We've made our first delivery and we're returning empty from that delivery and going to go get another load. While we're outside of the circle, either inbound or outbound, we're under HOS our mandate requirements. Once you cross the boundary, you are exempt and are no longer, sorry, my mouse is a little temperamental. You're no longer under HOS rules. Next one is ag starting a new trip without returning to original source. Second one is we've got a load, we come in, we pick it up, we drive outside the circle, make a delivery. Once we're empty, we're heading back to a new load. In this case, it's a load of corn, and we're under HOS requirements until we actually cross the radius boundary, and then we're excluded or exempted from that. Next one is ag commodities to market. We start on the inside of the circle, pick up the load, headed outbound while we're in the circle. No requirement, HOS requirements. Outside the boundary there is. Next scenario is empty on the way into the source. We're gonna, your time outside the circle is under HOS rules, inside is out. And we've actually got a source that's inside the circle. So all that time is gonna be exempt from HOS requirements. Next one is the ag commodities to market multiple sources. Whenever you have multiple sources, the first point of origin is where you establish that 150 air mile radius. So first point, we've established it. We go and we make 2 other stops, and then we're headed outside the circle for a delivery. Once we cross that boundary, we're subject to HOS rules. The last one, and we're going to talk about that in just a second, is ag commodities origin to destination. As a change, there's a extension of the exemption to provide for an additional 150 air mile radius circle for livestock and bee haulers. And that's only our interpretation and interpretation of some experts that we've checked with. That is extension of the additional 150 air mile radius circle is only for those commodity haulers, not all ag commodities that are on that composite list that they provide. All right, this is the law, the infrastructure bill that actually provided for that extension. And it allows for livestock, including insects, to have that 150 air mile radius. All other commodity and farm supply haulers are not, our understanding is, and that again is as of 2/13 on the 27th of January. That may change with further interpretation and influence, but at this point in time, the experts that we are talking to say it's only for insect and livestock haulers. All right, let's take a minute, and I'm going to change. We're going to show you what the Ag Exemption looks like in the My20 ELD app, and it may take a second. Let's see here. Brian, can you see my? There we go. Here it is. It's okay. Thank you. Took just a second. So this is the My20 app. I'm showing it on an iPhone, but we're also compatible for both iPhone or Apple and Android products, both phone and tablet. In order to activate the Ag Exception in our on our app, I'm going to go on this time clock screen. Right now, I'm in off duty. I'm starting my day. I'm going to select the center circle, and I'm going. I've got a load that I'm going to go pick up in outside of Nashville of cattle. I'm going to go ahead and activate the exemption, and then it's going to ask me. And right now, I'm in the Atlanta area, so it's going to show me my current location. Do you want to use that or have a different one? I'm going to say I do not want to use current. I'm going to go ahead and set it myself. I'm going to go up here and search by address, and I've already got my destination in as a previous search. So I'm going to select that. Wait a minute. That's my, let's try, shoot. Let me try that again. Sorry. Ag. I'm going to deactivate, activate, normal, search. Here we go. I'm sorry. Here's my pickup. All right, I'm going to use that. I'm going to say dismiss. Now I have the Ag exception activated. It shows on the time clock screen off duty and Ag. If I go to the drive screen, it'll actually show me where it is on the map. And so right now I'm in Atlanta. Here's my 150 air mile circle. When I select it, it'll show me exactly where it is, what city, county, also GPS coordinates, when it was activated. And then as I drive in our app, it'll show that cursor that shows me north of Atlanta moving toward my point of origin. As I'm driving, once I cross over that boundary line, and I'll show you that in a minute, my duty status, right now it's in off duty. It'll change when I start driving. Since I'm outside the circle, it'll be in a driving status. Once I cross the boundary, it will go from driving to off duty Ag, and my clocks will stop while I'm in the circle. I pick up my load, and then I head out to my destination. Since I've got livestock, I'm going to be able to use my not only my point of origin, but also my point of destination. So I've picked up my cattle, I'm heading out, I'm at the boundary. I'm going to go ahead and deactivate the Ag exemption. And then I'm going to reactivate it with my point of destination. Let's try that again. Here we go. Go to my address, and I'm looking for Franklin. There's my new address. I'm going to use this location. And now on the map, that's going to show as I'm driving from East Tennessee to West or Central Tennessee, it's going to show me moving on that on the map toward that destination. Once I get there, unloaded, then I would go back to the time clock screen and then deactivate the app. And when I start driving, it'll go right into driving. But that's as easy as it is to activate and deactivate based on your destination. We've got saved searches. So once you enter the address in once, especially if you're doing multiple trips, you can just select and deselect. The way our app works, it goes from the exemption will stay activated until you deactivate it. All right. So let's go. I want to show you what that looks like in our tower. And I'm going to go back to, let's see where to go. Well, let's look at this this driver right here. Well, let me see, move this in here just 1 second. I'm going to move this over here. And this is a driver that is using the Ag exemption. He's got it in his app. All of his duty statuses are showing off-duty Ag as far as his timeline. Here's the map that shows where his radius is and where he is in relationship to that. So here's his point of origin. And then if you look, you'll see the timeline. And I'll go ahead and close that, and we'll be able to see exactly where he is in his timeline. He's within the circle, so all of his transactions are showing. He got to his point of origin, he's picking up, now he's headed outbound. All right, but that gives you the ability to see exactly where your driver is in relationship to the circle, and also his clocks. If you look at the rods graph, his entire time is in off duty because Ag is a off duty status, and each of the times that he drove.
Tom, we've got a static image right now. Whatever you're showing, we're not seeing.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let's see here.
There you go. We see a rods graph now.
Okay, sorry about that. So did you all see the map, Ken? I'm sorry.
We didn't see the travel. So could you repeat that part?
Sure. Are you guys seeing the map right now?
Yes.
Okay. So here's the travel just by hitting the play button. Shows it being picked up on location, and then he's driving again. And this map is updated once a minute. All right. Okay, let's go back to, let's see, I'm going to go back to the graph here. So this is, let me show you a couple of videos. I'm going to resume share. Let's try that. Just 1 second. Sorry. Okay. Here's a couple of videos of what the driver sees in the app as they're driving. In this case, he started outside of the radius. Right now, he's in driving status. Ag is activated, so it shows it on the time clock. He's driven 50 miles today. When I'm going to go ahead and play. And so it shows him time clocks are moving. As soon as he crosses the boundary, his status, and this is a quick video, but as soon as he crosses the boundary, and let me stop it there, he gets a notification, you're inside the radius boundary, and his status automatically changes from driving to off-duty ag. And it stays that way using GPS technology and geofencing until he leaves the boundary. All right, same thing on the, let's see here, if I can go to the next. Here's exiting the radius. Right now he's inside, status is off-duty ag. Ag is activated, his time clocks are paused. When I hit play, he gets the, you've left the radius boundary, and then his status is going to change from off-duty ag to driving. At that point in time, the clocks start. After being frozen in the circle, they're going to start, both the 14-hour and the 11-hour clocks are going to start back up. All right, let's see. That's it for that one. And my page turner is not working right now. There we go. Here are a few ag HOS questions that we've had in the past. Am I required to use an ELD? If you're within the 150 air mile radius circle and you stay there, you're not required to use an ELD. But our belief is it's not the folks that have our ELD and use the ag exemption, they're not required to, they don't have to, but they want to. Does your ELD support setting the origin, radius, boundary, and monitor live data to ensure compliance? Yes, once you set it at the point of origin, that radius is set on the map in the app and in the tower, and it will check to see where you are in comparison to that and change your status automatically. You don't have to check and see, okay, have I made it to the radius yet? Do I need to change my status manually, put it in off-duty, PC, do an annotation, that type of thing. How do you prove that you are in compliance with the, when you're outside the boundary? On that drive map where you actually set up the ELD or the exemption, you can go back to that and show exactly where you are in relationship to the point of origin and the circle. If you're inside it, you can show them. You can show them exactly where your point of origin is. If you're outside, you can show them that as well. Does your ELD seamlessly turn off HOS clock on and off with your boundary, and can you reset that boundary? Yes, it does it automatically using GPS and geofencing technology. It will turn on the clock, it'll freeze it, or turn it off or turn it on, depending on where you are inside the circle. Yes, you can reset it anytime. For every load, you deactivate it, reactivate it. You can either manually enter in the address, or if you've had that address search before, you can enter in a new address. All right, Brian, I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to you.
Tom, I've got a couple questions that have come through.
Sure.
Specifically, it says, do I need to set the exception every day, and does it expire?
No, that I guess that depends on the commodity and the origin of your commodity. If you are operating from the same location every day, you've got an inbound leg, an outbound leg, and that's your routine, then no, you do not have to reset it every day. Once it's been set, it will stay set and turned on until you turn it off or deactivate it. Once you deactivate it, it will stay off until you reactivate it.
I appreciate that. I've got one from a driver. It says, how will my manager know if I'm using this exception? Here's the way to be able to show that, Tom.
Yes, in the tower, let me go back here. We're going to go back to this driver. In the tower on the driver detail screen, right now he can check. I'm going to check exceptions. Right now, this driver has agriculture activated, and he started that on the 27th at 12:03 Central Time. That's one definite indication. The other one is his duty status is off duty or ag. And then also I can look at the map, and he's within the circle. And so for his entire day, we can hit the play and see exactly where he is within the circle. So that's how his manager would be able to tell that.
Perfect. All right, looks like the question's been answered. If no one has any more questions, we'll close out today's discussion. Tom, thank you for your time and your compliance expertise.
Sure.
To today's attendees, thank you for joining us today. If you have any additional questions, just please reach out to our team. You can email us at info@connexio.com or call us at 865-888-6920, extension 2. Again, thanks for joining us today, and drive safe.